now on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. As you just heard Mike Scott reporting a train derailment outside of Philadelphia. Possible hazardous materials spilled. You don't know the details yet, but
I wonder who's going to get to the scene first.
Well,
former President Trump or Pete Buttigieg?
No, P-Bud will be there to assure everybody that he's gay, and so there's nothing to worry about. Speaking of the
that was a good one, Dan.
Land of misfit identitarians that are part of this regime. The Bidenomics rollout, how's it going, you ask? Great question. Well, it's going pretty well because he has great ambassadors for the big ideas that comprise Bidenomics, like his Girl Friday, the number 2, Kamala Harris, explaining the wonders of AI, and she'll tell you what that is in just a second.
Wait, I have no idea what AI means.
The wonders of AI, what it will mean for the future of our economic vitality.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
It really clarifies things. I mean, she's just so conversant on so many topics. She's like a one-woman YouTube explainer video of all the things that you don't understand. It's wonderful.
How degrees she's talking to us like we're in kindergarten. Do you have a machine? The information goes in the machine.
Mm-hmm. She's explained other features of Bidenomics, additionally, that will benefit you and your children. Cleaner water, cleaner air.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Oh, so they finally said it. Mm-hmm. Population reduction.
We may have to knock some of you out, but the ones that are left, you're really going to love the water.
We are looking very closely at the severity of the situation. Okay. The severity of the situation is very severe. Therefore, we must take precaution as we assess the severity of each situation.
Pretty good.
That cackle. Even the impersonator. Pretty good cackle. Scott, the cow guy, Shellady, joins us now. Market specialist for Market Day Report. 10:30 to 1 Chicago time. Cow guy close 1 to 1:30, both at RFD-TV. Scott, the cow guy, do you have a little better handle on AI? That's artificial intelligence now that it's been explained.
Yes, it was good that she did it as slow as she did so I could understand. I'd also like her to explain what VP is. We don't have one, and see if she could tell us what a VP does.
Also 2 letters. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's 2 letters. It's not the president, but it's the vice president.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've largely gone missing because they're supposed to be doing a job on the border. But yeah, what an absolute disgrace. And Bidenomics, by the way, it's Biden nightmare, not Bidenomics. And I constantly double check my work to make sure that I'm not cherry picking just the negative things. We have 2 really big good things that most people will throw in my face at the tavern when I start to tell them that I think the economy is not doing well, and that's always the jobs number and the stock market. And the jobs number is a conundrum. A lot of folks are having a difficult time trying to explain that one away. But the stock market is largely due to what she was just talking about. We've got a very narrow recovery in stocks, which is artificial intelligence stocks. The NASDAQ had to rebalance over the weekend when 7 stocks out of 100 became more than 50% of the index. They started, they're going to have to start to change some of the things that they do via SEC rules. We have some good things out there, but they're all related to that AI that she spoke about. And other than that, the 2/3 of the American economy is hurting. I mean, interest rates going up on those credit card balances, which are at an all-time record high of $1 trillion. We've absolutely decimated the savings rate. We've got 37% of Americans that have a 401k have now rated it for emergency loans, hardship loans. It's getting to a point now that we are on vapors. The consumer's on vapors. The CIO of Costco has said the same thing. He's noticing folks starting to cut back and spend a little bit differently on cheaper items, as well as the CFO of McDonald's has said much the same thing. They're not buying that one cheeseburger that you eat before you get home, before your wife knows you even had one. So those types of things are sneaking through, showing some cracks in the system. Bidenomics is not working for 2/3 of America.
Well, it's working in the corporate sector. It's been a boomlet. Maybe this helps explain the jobs numbers. DEI and ESG jobs, as the Wall Street Journal opined, 34,500 LinkedIn search results for diversity and inclusion and sustainability jobs just in the city of New York. They write the boom owes its part to Biden regulations, but the bigger drivers are progressive employees, I should say, who demand their employers indulge their politics, as well as ESG police like BlackRock and Vanguard and so forth. So what about the ESG DEI zeitgeist in the corporate sector?
It's destroying the corporate sector. It's destroying the world. I mean, it largely is driven by Klaus Schwab, the WEF, the World Economic Forum. There was a big protest over the weekend in Ireland about their plans to cull 200,000 cattle because of methane issues. It's already happening in Holland. These types of programs, this diversity, equity, inclusion, and obviously ESG, are absolutely destroying our economy. And by the way, I'll throw in there another one that everybody seems to overlook, but we started it this July. It's already happening in our country, this move towards a central bank digital currency where you basically there's no cash. You get paid, you get paid on a debit card, but then they'll be able to slowly but surely know everything about your life. There will be no cash.
Well, I want to get to that digital currency, but just a little bit more on BlackRock and Vanguard, because Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Committee, sent letters to the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street last week. He was joined by other reps like Thomas Massey of Kentucky, Dan Bishop, North Carolina, suggesting that there is potentially collusion afoot among these entities to impose their ESG DEI mandates on, those they have financial influence, if not control over, and this could potentially be violative of U.S. antitrust law. What's your take on that? What is your take on BlackRock and Vanguard and how much of a weight they're putting on the economy through their politics?
It's definitely not good. It's Larry Fink, and he's able to express his own personal interests using your own stock. I mean, a lot of folks don't realize that he's able to control a lot of how these corporate boards run because they themselves own a lot of stock and by proxy vote for others, and so that they have the sway that can change the way that people are doing their business. And it's not good because equity, the ESG folks, that is not the best interest of the shareholder. It's something to make you feel good. They're two totally different things. One is financial. The other one is more personal, or it's a feel-good thing. And we're starting to mix the two, and it's not good. And I rail against it on my show here almost every day. And there are a few that will write in saying there have been studies done saying that ESG stocks have performed as well as other stocks, but I'll say this. Maybe they should have performed a lot better because you're investing on feelings, not facts. You're investing on what you think's better for the environment or for the country rather than, is this thing make a widget that does something good and everybody's going to need to have? Those are two totally different ideas, and one of them is being forced down our throats because they are able to get people in government. Brian Deese, the guy that just left the Biden administration, he was a BlackRock guy making $5 million a year in charge of their ESG division. Okay, he's the one that gets those things. He was the one that got those things in there. I don't know whose replacement was, but I'm sure they're just as bad. But that's what's happening to all governments around the world. In Holland, in Ireland, they get a few people from the World Economic Forum that sign up to this ESG, DEI garbage, and slowly but surely start to change the shape of your own country. And these people weren't even elected to anything.
Well, I want to just follow up on this too. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, so I'm just asking, with respect to what we know to be true. So you mentioned the World Economic Forum and BlackRock and Vanguard, and of course Larry Fink is part of that cabal. And we talk a lot about Chinese communist interests buying up property here and other interests buying up property near military bases, and this is a concern. Is it true that BlackRock and Vanguard are buying up a lot of residential properties in the country and, essentially potentially setting the table to set up their own sim cities that would exercise even more essentially governance over the American people than they are now with their financial influence?
The research would suggest that, yes. But I'll take one. I mean, they've already named it, Dan. They call them 15-minute cities, where everything that you need is within 15 minutes of you. You will not have a car. You'll have nothing. You'll rent, and you'll be happier, apparently. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets, watch HGTV one day, and you'll see tiny house this, tiny house that. Tiny houses, that was driven by programs out of the WEF, everybody downsizing. And while it was probably a misstatement where she made a mistake, pollution versus population, population is absolutely, in black and white, they want to reduce the population at the WEF. This is all part of getting rid of the excess amount of people they believe are on this earth because they believe it's overly taxed by humans, and then they want to then have this utopia for the elite that, after everybody else has been killed off. And I'm talking, if we have 8 billion people-ish on the planet, they're talking they think it should only be 500 million.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of spaces, a lot of downtown office buildings are empty and a lot of companies are underwater, can't pay the mortgage. What do you envision happening to downtown Chicago, New York, LA?
I think, when I was a professor of finance in 2015 at DePaul down in Chicago, right there in the Loop, and we did a study on the books of the city of Chicago, and I would have said back then, in 2015, they were structurally bankrupt already. They were just moving around. It was a shell game then. Now it's even worse. There is no way out. And I think that ultimately you're going to have some sort of reprice, reset for Chicago. It's a beautiful city. It's sad, but this is that's the culmination of 80 years of one-party rule. This is it's bankrupt. It's over. I mean, we can all sit here and when they go to work every day, those aldermen, all they're doing is arguing about what to do with the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's the best way I could put it.
And your outlook, now that you have the conventional wisdom among the gaggle of economists who are considered when this reporting occurs, saying, probably not recession. Where do you come down? It's going to be, it's sort of what you said earlier is it's going to be a recession for 2/3 of the people and not for 1/3, which nets out to a recession. But your outlook for the rest of the year, both in terms of markets and the overall economy?
Look, bankruptcies this time versus the corporate bankruptcies versus this time last year are up 93%. I told you 37% of Americans are rating their 401ks. All of the information that we get says that there will be a recession. We're now just having an argument about when. And some of the scholars called it a little bit early. I think it looks to be Kovac came out with a big report last Thursday and Friday saying they think it'll happen in the fourth quarter sometime. I'm not going to get into the semantics about exactly what time we're going to have one.
Yeah.
But the consumer is the only thing propping up our economy right now, and they're doing it on vapors. It will ultimately, at some point in time, run out, and that's the problem. Wait till you see all these student loans have to get paid. They're going to pull out $14, $15 billion a month out of the economy with everybody having to re-up and start paying their student loans. There isn't any relief coming around the corner. This is a ruse. It will all come to fruition, whether it's in the fourth quarter of this year, first quarter next year, doesn't really matter. It's going to happen. And again, 2/3 of America are not getting by right now.
He is the host. He's the market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1 p.m. And the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Both RFD-TV, Scott the Cow Guy, Shellady. Get him at RFD-TV. Scott, as always, thank you.
All right, see ya.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here